So for this Lost Thoughts, it's a follow-up on my English dub thoughts in 2016. Why do I do it? What's the reason behind it? More info about it. Hello guys, NautoAis here, and this is going to be a follow-up update on my secondary channel, MMGS Vlog. So the reason I'm doing this follow-up is I just want to give more tidbits and a bit of an FAQ about my secondary channel. So if you have not listened to my previous update, links is on the description box. And basically I think what I said was that the vlog is going to be a bit slower for the month of September because I'm trying to catch up on stuff, let's just say. For this one, I want to give a little bit of tidbit of this, why that. Well, one of the most common thing I said was the subject of me English dub on Jared's video game. And there will be a history of why I did that. So the gist of it in this one is I enjoy playing the game in English. I understand what it is. And after a while, when suddenly company was going back to their old ways, not implementing voices to the respective language, because I can understand it's cost. Sometimes it's a problem making PS4 games, heck, PS3 games were very, very difficult. But at the same time, I made an argument saying that if you do it, you might get a chance of more sales. And some people agree with that, some people don't. Even companies have that different perspective. I know to some extent Capcom believe that you need to have English dub in their games or they're not going to sell. Hence, Senkaku Basara never came out outside of Japan after Senkaku Basara Samurai Hero. While other companies such as Tecmo Koei, and I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Ever since Warriors Orochi 3, they decided to shift their business tactics as of any Musou game, any Tecmo Koei game, or, Koei games, or to some extent, Gus game, no longer dub. They basically said it, they're no longer dub. If it's a Tecmo game, such as Ninja Gaiden, Dead or Alive, then yes, they're going to dub it, believe it or not. An example is, in Dead and Alive 5, the game is actually English dub. Yes, certain characters from Virtual Fighters, they don't speak in English. Mai Shirune from Fatal Fury, she doesn't speak English. However, there's a character there from Samurai Warriors, and her name is NautoAis. She came in later. However, believe it or not, I got her as a DLC. She was on sale for $2. Don't know why, but you know, whatever. And believe it or not, and this is a big shocker, I played her. She's a good character to play. I'm not really a hardcore DOA story. The thing is, she was speaking in English. I'm like, oh my god. So it is possible for a Samurai Warrior character to speak English. That is so weird. So if that character is on a Tecmo game or Dead or Alive game, you gotta get away with it, and she can speak English. I'm like, what? And yet, any Koei game, the Musou game, any JRPG from Tecmo Koei, they don't. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm gonna stop because every time I talk about them again. Like I said before, my first update, I do get riled up, and again, so apologies there. But the bottom line, yeah, so that's the reason why all of a sudden now I decide doing this. I've been doing this, believe it or not, in the past, but once in a while I would just like kick back and see what it plays out, because once in a while Tecmo Koei does, believe it or not, they tried it. Thanks to Warrior 8 and Extreme Legend, they did it. But then, of course, apparently that didn't work. From what I heard was because, quote-unquote, poor sale. Wah. So, of course, Dynasty Warrior 8 Empire didn't do it. Surprisingly, Dynasty Warrior 9, I did say that. So, yeah, so that's the reason why I kind of like harp on it and kind of like whine about it. I mean, one, to some extent, I want to raise awareness. Two, I want to show at least, I'm just speaking for myself, that there are people who are concerned about this. When you don't do this, you don't put dub, do you want sales? Or it's a Chris Frank conspiracy? I said it again. Like I said, some company, they do concern it. Believe it or not, our system worked with Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. I got to give props to them, to Mori. Thank you, Mori,
full English dub. Beautiful. I love it. They listen to the fan. They managed to find a middle ground to some extent. I mean, I don't really agree with the release date, but that's a different story. But yes, so the game was released close to the Japanese counterpart. The competitors are happy. The casual fans are happy because, hey, at least there's English dub. So hopefully, and I said before, Central Fiction extend or a paid DLC. I keep saying about that. Whatever, maybe. And I really hope, really to some extent, if it's really possible. I know this is really far-fetched. Whether P-Cube, Nicalis, Axis in game, maybe. And hopefully also not partial dub, but that's a different story. I mean, from what I heard, Ideal Factory now, and this is the current situation, is that because of the better sales and a lot of the support are coming, because of the Steam, Anime Expo, they sold a lot of franchise, a lot of, believe it or not, swag. People were buying them, props. Maybe those money can finally help them do 1-to-1 ratio dub, because Mega Dimension did not have a 1-to-1, and a lot of people apparently were upset about it. I'm kind of late to the party. I bought the game 2017, and I barely finished it in 2018, so I'm really way late about it. I don't know about V2R, but that V-Blog, that's a teaser there. All right. So again, to this follow-up, like I'm saying, the reason I'm doing this, like I said, is basically raising awareness. So for people that you don't care that I'm doing this, and you say, oh my gosh, it's a video, another video, you subscribe to me, thank you, but the videos pops in, oh, again, it's about English dub, you're wanting about English dub. I'm sorry about it, but it is something for me personally that I gotta raise awareness. It's just for me. Like I said, there are other videos I'm going to put up. It's not going to be just for the month of September or so on. It's going to be the theme of English dub. But the thing also is, I did a lot of video about this. Some of them are already old, but I want to just put them up, fix them. Yes, I'm going to do a disclaimer saying that, hey, this was recorded long time ago. Here's the date. I just decided to put it up. And again, the reason is time. You got a day job doing this. You know the story. So, again, for anyone not caring about my thoughts, my opinion about English dub and Japanese game, again, apologies, but there are other videos on the V-Blog there. But like I said, I do feel like I have to basically my opinion about it.
The reason why I even did this from the beginning, start is, like I said in my Tecmo Koei rant, is why Orochi 3 kind of made me do this. And like I said, I've been a long time fan of the Musou, and then suddenly they did this, and that's the reason why. Do I understand why they do it? Yes, definitely, but just because I understand doesn't necessarily mean I can agree with it. Should I throw them a bone? I don't think so, to some extent. Again, the solution always is you vote with your wallet. So that's the reason why I keep doing this. To some extent, like I said, we're raising awareness. Yes, it kind of get annoying. I do apologize for that. And you might say, well, you sound like entitled. Well, it kind of be the same thing too. If the game is only dub, people do complain. So, I mean, business rule 101, you just can't please everyone. That's why a lot of times the best solution is dual language, but I'll explain it later. Apparently, there's some new info that I want to share this for people who don't know. But this is like an old news, but apparently, well, it's kind of interesting. So that's the reason why I did this. So again, for people that don't like it, apologies. But like I said, I wanted to focus this because there were some games that were not English dub, and I gotta give my opinion about it. So it's a V-Blog all about English dub. Well, I guess partially, but like I said, hopefully that after a while I'm gonna take this down and start talking about something more interesting. But I kind of did, you can notice some of them there. So that's the reason why I did it. So am I gonna stop with it? Well, if I find something that I don't think it's right with the English dub, then I'm gonna call out on it. Maybe Jump Force in 2019. We'll see if they're gonna put that or not. But again, that's a different story there. So, of course, for people, and I want to give my thoughts and might as well put it here, is it's kind of interesting that, because I was looking at information about why is it that a lot of the Sennin Kagura game is not dub. And the first thing I was thought that is Seren Kagura an anime or a video game? Because if it's a video game first, then it shouldn't be a problem. But if it's an anime first or something else, then I cannot get it. Because like I said, the anime, because Funimation basically localized it, I guess that's what you call it, basically has English dub, yet the game doesn't. But here's the thing, we're going back to 2013, this is way far, so that's 5 years ago. I looked up I went to, I guess, to the 44X. A lot of people did ask, because I know the first Seren Kagura for the 3DS, which is also going to come to the PS4 and Steam under the name Renewal. Again, just, if you saw my previous angry rant, yes, like Angry Joe said, an angry rant, you done F it up. Sony, screw you. Screw you and your damn new policy. Screw you. So if you don't know what that is, if I remember, links on the description box on my angry rant about what Sony's new policy and very, very screwed Exceed. In my opinion, that was like a disrespect to Exceed. It's like, it's ridiculous. And I kind of felt sorry for Exit for caving in, because again, because the game was already far and they just told him this. So Sony, I don't know what the hell's your problem is. Screw you. Alright, so apologies for that, but I just had to let it all out there, because Sony is, right now, they're being stupid right now. I don't understand that. So back to my main objective topic here is, so apparently in the case with Seren Kagura, apparently that if they were actually gonna plan to have it dubbed, believe it or not. According to Tom, the one on the PS4, like the first Seren Kagura game to be, that comes on the PS4, they were actually gonna dub the game. Like, they were considering it, and then they said at some point they couldn't do it, and they couldn't really disclose why. But so, wow, I mean, that's interesting. That would be nice, Exceed, if you dub Seren Kagura. But again, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with Funimation, maybe not. No one knows. A lot of people who are a fan of it really wanted it, but again, so it was interesting that they said, they were considering putting English dub, but then I guess, according to Play Asia in their blog, that it was a license issue sometimes that they can't put English dub, and maybe that's the situation there. So, and then another one I want to give my thoughts is Jess Chavez, a former XC localization. She quit on 23rd. She quit. So she decided to do like some sort of like bullet points Q&A of what they do in XC and why this and why that. And what I'm gonna focus on is English dub. And I want to say first to Jess Chavez, thank you for your statement there. I love what you just said there. She agreed with me. She even basically like asked herself that, do you think it's gonna sell more if it has English dub? And she said, yes, I agree. I keep saying it. Put English dub. Make it nice at least. But I'm not gonna be picky. I know some people will. Put English dub. I can guarantee you'll have more sale than without it. It's sort of proven. Sword Online, Fatal Bullet, they said if it was English dub, they might consider it. Tales of R, basically, they said, I guess after the sale, they said that maybe they should have. A lot of time it's a conscious decision, like, is it worth for it or not? Is it worth their money and time? But I'll talk about that later. Yeah, but she did say, yes, it is true. Jess Chavez basically said that it makes more sense to put English dub because it'll sell more. Is it always possible? And the answer is no. Like, when the comment basically, both Exceed and Jess Chavez said, sometimes it's the license issue if you're allowed. Another one, of course, it's money. How much budget are you going to put in for the voice? That's why a lot of time you get partial dub because there's not a lot of money. I kind of don't agree with it. You probably should spend more, but then if it goes to a point that you have to use your own budget, then that's a little, that is kind of showing the bad sign there. Because here's the thing about business. You make money out of the profit that you make for your games. You do have a certain budget that you have. Money in the bank, war chest treasure, whatever it's called. But mostly they call it the budget. When you start using that budget for something, that is sort of a red flag. That means you're not making enough money. That is an emergency money just in case if something went wrong. You can't always be using it, and it's best not to be used. Unless you're Nintendo, that even you have that war chest, either whether it exists or not, they kind of get away with it. So, I mean, that's Nintendo. So, it's money. And then a lot of time also they have said it's time. Does the voice actor have enough time to do all the line? If they're doing multiple projects, whether it's video game, anime, cartoon, movie, whatever, then what? You gotta keep in mind also, a lot of these voice actors, they have to go with, well, they want to go to make appearances in convention and, you know, events. So again, they don't really have a lot of time. So that's also what Jess Chavez. I can agree with that. But is it still possible to put English dub? Yes, I think it is. It is. The point, the key also is that when do you release a game is the key part. And I know to some extent you have to sometimes release a game in a certain day to have the maximum sale, because if you put in a game or there's a big AAA game, unless you're a rich bastard, excuse the language, you're not going to be able to buy a lot of games. So if, say, you put a Neptunia game the same time as Kingdom Hearts 3, which one are you going to buy? A niche game or Kingdom Hearts 3? Me personally, I'll buy both, but I'm crazy. I'm crazy. But for somebody sane that doesn't have a lot of money, they're probably going to go with Kingdom Hearts. What do you think Battlefield 5 was pushed back to November? Because it was in a month where Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption, Assassin's Creed are in the same month. What do you think they're going to buy? And of course, like Player said, I kind of sort of agree. Dragon Quest 11 versus Spider-Man. What do you think you're going to buy? Spider-Man's a bigger name than Dragon Quest. I mean, you might not be a fan of Spider-Man, so you buy Dragon Quest 11, but how many people are that? So that's what also Jess Chavez said. I can agree with it. I just think, yeah, that's going to be tricky, but again, still, I do agree with the part that you do need to put English dub because it sales make it better. I know the problem is sometimes money and time. Money first, then time, and then other things. Because like I said, because somebody like an editor basically was playing Octopath Traveler, and they basically, why is it like the game doesn't have a lot of full voice? Some of it there's like actual voice, in some places it's just one word. And somebody from BioWare basically explained it, and a lot of people have explained it. I think even somebody from Exit did explain it also, that again, the gist of it is, again, like I said, mostly it's money. How much budget do they have? Second is time. Do they have enough time to do this? Have enough time to do the voices and have a deadline to release the game on a certain date? Because sometimes you can't just say, I feel like releasing the game in this particular month. It doesn't work that way. You have to actually strategize that to put it on the right date, or you're gonna compete something that's a AAA, then your game don't sell, and that's really bad. So that's really bad there. So then again, Tom always said, because again, another one is license issue. That's the reason why sometimes they can't do it. I guess you have to pay like somebody who did the voice more money. We're dealing with license. It's very, very difficult, because another thing you talked about here is why is it sometimes there's no Japanese sub in games. God Eater and God Eater 2 doesn't have Japanese sub. I think Summoning Night 6, the one I have, doesn't have English sub. Sometimes there's two reasons. I know Xenoblade Chronicles 3D and Fire Emblem Shadow Valencia doesn't have Japanese sub. So there's two reasons. Most reason is, they said, most common thing is license issue, because you think it's going to be free? No, you have to pay them. And if the license holder or you're giving license issue, how much do they ask for? Then if it's costing more, they'd rather just not putting in. In the case with like Xenoblade Chronicles 3D and Fire Emblem Echo Shadow Valencia, is because of memory. You can't put a lot of, it probably doesn't fit on that 3DS game card. That's sometimes the reason. Well, why can't you do a DLC Japanese sub? Yeah, that's another thing that a lot of people have complained about that, and I want to give my thoughts on that one is, why is it there's that sometimes they do an option of, a DLC Japanese sub? Here's the thing is, and might be tricky if you're not a game programmer or you don't basically program or code games. The Japanese version of those games, they don't have an option to voice English to Japanese. So when you start a localized game, that's a new code they have to put in, and a lot of time that's a technical issue, and that's how they have a hard time. In the case with the early Neptunia, or some of the Neptunia game, believe it or not, Mega Dimension V2, yeah, they said the reason why they had to provide a Japanese DLC sub, Japanese sub, is because they didn't have time to implement the coding, the game itself, They had to do it via update. That's the reason why Dynasty Warriors 7 did the same thing. And I know The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Fire Emblem Warriors also did that because, again, it's a coding problem. That's why they're doing that. And newer games now, they're finally implementing it because maybe they have more time. It's easier to do. But in the past, it was basically Santa's time, and coding it takes a lot of time. That's why they don't do it. There's a little bit of FAQ there. Alright, so hopefully, let's see. That's a thing that kind of interests me. So those are my thoughts that, wow. So I get there was more meets the eye, but to some extent I kind of don't agree with it. Like, Senran Kagura, still I don't get it why it's never been dubbed. Apparently they considered it, but nope. But I can understand why sometimes you can't have dub because, again, it's a budget issue to some extent, or sometimes it is a license issue that also goes with Japanese sub, and sometimes it's just time, money. They have to find a balance in order to optimize their sale of their product. Because you don't want to sell a game and it doesn't sell. You make a game and then you don't sell them. Nobody likes that. So, yeah, that's additional, basically, my thoughts about the situation with Japanese game versus English dub. Yeah, surprising, like Exit really want to gave an in-depth analysis, basically explaining why or how does it work and why sometimes company don't want to do it. Again, the gist of it really is money, then time, then license issue, and then technical issues. That's the last thing. So again, to anyone who listened to this, thank you. Like I said, I just for a while I had to do this English dub, like V blog topics, because it really just it interests me. I wanted to raise awareness. I want to give my thoughts about it because, like I said, a lot of games are coming out. Warrior Roaches 4 doesn't have an English dub. I don't know if their next Ulterior All-Star game is not going to have an English dub. And then what else? The future of games for some of the Exceed that they're going to localize. NIS America, they're going to localize. Are they going to put dub? Are they not going to put dub? ASCII games, same deal. The Cowlets, I know P-Cube, no chance in hell, excuse the language, because they're not that big. But I just really hope in the long run that they do put English dub. Just to keep in mind that be mindfulness that you'll make more sale. I'm just saying there, because I know it is good that Sony removed that policy, except they put a new policy about touching, but that's a different story. Screw you, Sony. But yeah, so yeah, those are my thoughts about it. And yeah, but hopefully in the future, more Japanese game will be dubbed. So we'll just have to wait and see. With that, I'll see you guys later.